Feeling my way through the darkness, guided by a beating heart. I can't tell where the journey will end, but I know where to start.
Buddy, I don't want to thank my friend Nick Villalobos for being on. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Doing well.
Good. Well, I have a guest here today. Awesome story, awesome background. We're going to get more into that throughout the details. So give the people a little bit of background about you and what you're doing.
My name's Nick Villalobos, and I am a native of Arizona.
Okay.
That's
one of the
pretty
few
cool
in the crowd.
thing to say. And I'm a musician. I grew up playing classical music. I'm a bass player, and I now am in a group called Simply Three that I started back in 2010.
Cool. Awesome. And the one thing about this podcast is we're going to have people on from different backgrounds, different genres. You know, it's kind of a business self-development natured, but I even know growing up, I mean, I wasn't very good. I was forced to take the piano, right?
Yeah.
Somehow somebody somewhere said it was good to take piano for sports and stuff, but I think my parents just wanted me to do something that was not just sports, and so, you know, they had me do that. Anyways, so that lasted for a few years. I used to actually, not to get into my sob story with music, but sometimes I had to walk home from the freaking piano lady's house. It was like a mile when my mom couldn't come pick me up. So that combo by about 8th grade kind of made me fade out with piano, and I did the trombone for a little bit. But
nice.
Looking back, I always wish I would have stuck with instruments. So yeah, man, how did this start? How did Simply Three start? What got you interested in obviously starting a band?
So like I was saying, I grew up playing classical music. My sister actually played violin, so I started on violin. And then when I was in 6th grade, I discovered what the bass was. Okay. And man, I just fell in love with it first sight, and I loved all the low notes that it played. And so I kind of just started from there, at least my love affair with music. And I just kept on playing and kept loving music and loved being in orchestra and stuff. And so at that point, I knew that I wanted to be a musician, but I didn't really know what that meant until like high school and college age. And I figured out that, you know, if I want to be a successful musician, I got to win an orchestra job. Yeah. Be in like a major symphony, like the Phoenix Symphony or, you know, like LA Phil, you know, those big symphonies.
The only
like
symphony
that.
I know are like the symphony bars, chocolate bars.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, I figured out, I think it was in college that I didn't want to be in a symphony. Okay. Like, that was the last thing I wanted to do, actually.
Touché.
So then I thought to myself, well, what am I going to do then? I know I still want to be a musician, but, you know, if I don't want to be in a symphony, like, what other options are there? Because there really aren't that many for classical musicians. Sure. Like, if you want to continue playing classical music, there's only a few options. You can either be in a symphony. Okay. You could teach like at a school or a university, and those jobs are pretty few and far between. Okay. Or you could just be like a private teacher and you could freelance and, you know, teach lessons and stuff like that. And so I pretty much went the freelance route, except I figured out that I didn't want to do just classical music. So I called up my buddy Zach Clark, he's the cellist in our group, and we just kind of started bouncing off ideas off of each other, saying like, you know, we both feel this way, that we want to stay in music. We play classical instruments, but we don't want to play classical music anymore as much, you know? Yeah. And we said, you know, we like all different kinds of music. Why don't we try and play it on our instruments? Yeah. Like, it kind of just started from there. So we thought, okay, you know, we were both going to school at ASU, and we thought, you know, let's try and make some money while we're trying to figure this out. And so, yeah, exactly. So we decided to starting to play weddings. Like, we became like a wedding band, essentially. And we thought, you know, people seem to love when we play pop music on our strings. Yeah. And we got a lot of gigs because of that. And there was this one gig where a guy came up to us and he said, "Hey, do you guys have like a CD?" I'm like, "No, we don't have a CD." He's like, "Well, you guys sound guys sound pretty good. You guys should probably make one." So then we made a CD, and it, you know, kind of just snowballed from there. And, you know, people like the piano guys were kind of doing music videos and stuff like that. So we thought, why don't we try and do something like that?
So it just started with an idea one day, conversation. You're like, hey, man, this is what I'm wanting to do. This is what you're doing. Let's just throw it together and see what happens. And other people are putting stuff up on YouTube. You know, we might as well. Yeah. And, no, I mean, I know we've talked about it a little bit, and that's what's just awesome about it is because it's like it just started with an idea.
Exactly.
And, you know, now it's morphed into, you know, you guys have had over 100 million views, which is kind of crazy. to think about. And I guess for you, because I know it happened. I mean, I didn't have to ask you, but I know it happened. When was the first time somebody tried to tell you, like, get a normal job or do something other than that?
I mean, it still happens.
Oh,
like, to
still?
be honest.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. People, come up to us and say, like, oh, a lot of people usually don't ask it as direct as that, but they always ask, like, do you do anything else? Like, do you have another job? And it always feels really good to say no.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have another job. Like,
Yeah.
I can literally support myself and my family by playing music.
Yeah.
By playing an instrument that a lot of people think is kind of obsolete. Classical instruments, they're supposed to be in this one box and do this one thing. But we've been able to do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Because of it.
No, that's awesome. And I guess for you too, I mean, if you had to think about it, when was like a time where you weren't quite sure, if this was going to work or if maybe you ought to quit, go do something, put your degree. I mean, I know it's probably in music, but, get like a real job. What if you want to take me back to that time when maybe there was a breaking point or a thought or an experience? Maybe it happens a lot. I don't know. Maybe still. I don't know.
Yeah. I think doubt and fear comes into your mind, a lot. I don't think it ever really goes away. And I think sometimes that's a good thing because it can motivate you to keep, pushing the envelope, keep trying to do new things. Because I've heard several times that if you aren't scared of your dreams, they're not big enough.
Yeah.
So if you aren't like afraid to try something, it's probably not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Like,
Sure.
And so I always try and keep that in mind that when I want to do something and I feel like it can't be done or it's like a little scary, I'm probably going down the right road. It's probably something that people haven't done.
Yeah.
That's why it's scary. That's why I have doubt. But I think at the beginning, obviously, really didn't understand the whole business side of the music industry and, what we needed to do to get to the point where we are now. So that was always, we had a lot of doubt in our
learning
actions,
curve and
the learning curve and all that stuff.
Well, that's what.
But even now, I mean, once you get to a place, you got to maintain it.
Sure.
So that's scary too.
Well, and I heard a quote once. It was by Nick Saban. He was just at a press conference. He's like, there's a lot of books on how to become successful, but there's not a whole lot on how do you maintain it, how do you keep it, because it's not anything like, especially in music. I mean, pop culture, what people are interested in, YouTube. I mean, things are moving so fast. And what's kind of crazy is whenever I do these interviews, I don't have some script like, oh, we got to get this message across. It kind of morphs into that, and it's like, you're right. Like the fear and the doubt, it never goes away. And I was meeting with a potential employee earlier today even, and started talking about it because, in sales and in business and in music, it's like there's different challenges. There's such a learning curve, especially in music.
Yeah.
But he was just saying, I just feel a little intimidated because I'm green. And I noticed that a lot of actually newer representatives, whether it's in sales, they usually have their best month or their best, like my best month in solar was my third month. And you would think like it's a little counterintuitive now. It's almost a disadvantage sometimes to be so maybe seasoned at something that you can allow that doubt and that fear to creep in, that it's like, maybe I don't have it anymore. What's the next thing? I've already gotten to this level. How do I grow and maintain it?
Yeah.
So I guess for you, what kind of motivates you at this point? I mean, sure, you've hit a certain level where now you can take care of your family just doing what you love.
Yeah.
What continues, I guess, to motivate you to push that envelope?
Definitely the maintaining thing is a huge factor. I also think that I've always had a phrase stuck in my head, and I forget where I heard it first, but you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Okay.
Like your third month in sales.
Yeah.
Sure, it was really uncomfortable still.
Yeah.
But I think when you're uncomfortable, you're in like a humble state of mind,
okay,
and you want to learn how to be better.
Yeah.
So I think that's what motivates me, is that there's always new things to learn.
Yeah.
So I gotta not be on like a high horse, like I've made it this far and I'm doing well.
Yeah.
There's still so much more to go.
Sure.
There's still so much more to learn and so much more to do. And back to like the whole dreams thing. Like I haven't achieved my dreams yet as far as what music goes to, is involved. But that's what motivates me. It's just the humongous goal that I have.
Yeah.
that needs to be accomplished.
What is that goal?
Well, I would love for, Simply Three to be looked at like any major band is.
Okay.
You know, to sell out, you know, stadiums, you know,
Yeah.
like Imagine Dragons, they're huge. I want to be like that, but just with instrumental music. And I don't know if it's possible. Like, our songs don't have lyrics.
Yeah.
They don't really have a message embedded in them, but they have messages to us. And one of the challenges is how do we convey that message without lyrics?
Yeah.
And a lot of that is done through YouTube, through our music videos, and you know, we try and have a message, and you know, in most of them,
Yeah.
sometimes we don't. It's just a performance video. But I wanna make Simply Three that big. Like, I want to be like a household name.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, and it's kind of funny because you know you started it. How long ago did you guys start?
Well, it started in 2010.
Okay.
Like, that's like on paper, like
Okay.
when the business started. But I feel like we didn't really like know what we were doing for like, honestly, like 3 years.
Yeah.
Like, we kind of didn't know what we wanted to do. Like, do we want to just do recordings and do weddings?
Mhm.
Or do we want to, you know, do music videos, and do we want to tour? You know, all these
Yeah.
different things. But I feel like 3 years ago we figured that out. So
Okay.
I feel like for 3 years we've been like doing what we actually want to
Okay.
do.
So you're the
So we
first
had like
few
4
you're just
years
throwing
of like,
stuff
yeah,
out.
like just trying to figure it out and
Yeah.
you know, taking what came to us. But now I feel like we're on a trajectory to do what we actually want to do.
Yeah, totally.
Being on the road, and I'm sure at different events, weddings, whatever, bar mitzvahs, I don't know what you guys play. Any funny experiences come to mind, or anything that stands out?
Yeah,
Crazy
man.
experiences.
There's a lot of crazy things that happen on the road. We started, obviously we drove from Arizona, that's where we're
Yeah.
based. And then our first show was in Montana.
Oh wow.
Never been in Montana before.
Okay. Big
Beautiful
sky
place.
country.
Yeah, exactly. So we were driving through, and I think we were somewhere in Utah. We're getting gas, and I told the guys, like, hey, I'm going to go into the trailer, just make sure things are all secure, because I was a little nervous about, you know, our instruments were back there. I didn't want them to get squished or anything. So I was back there checking stuff, had the tailgate down, and then all of a sudden the van and the trailer started moving. And I was like, yo. I was like, hitting the top. I was like, yo, I'm in here. Like, and then they start, like, going pretty fast. Like, going out of the, you know, I thought they were leaving. I thought we were getting on the highway again. Dragging the tailgate. I'm like, yo! And I was like hitting the side now, and then they were just moving the van somewhere else. But then I was like running alongside, like trying to get their attention. Like,
So you'd like
I was
jump
back
down your
there,
phone.
yeah. Luckily, nothing fell out, nothing got damaged, but yeah, it's not a good feeling when you're in a trailer and it's open and then it starts moving.
With a bunch of instruments and stuff.
Yeah, like our livelihood back there.
Yeah. I guess for you guys, you know, being out there on tour and music being a passion, you talked about your parents and how they said that it would give you life lessons, right? Music. What are some of those life lessons that you feel like music's given you?
Definitely the patience, for sure. And I think sticking with something and honestly, like, practicing
Yeah.
has been super important for my life.
Okay.
Because when you have a piece of music, you know, it's just you trying to figure out how to make this come across in a good way so that people will appreciate it
Yeah.
and find joy in the music. And that's harder than it sounds. And, you know, I've worked on, you know, just a few passage of notes over and over and over until I've gotten it right.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people know how to do that, know how to, like, practice something to a point where it's really, really, like, good, to where you can do it every single time.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to do. And it takes a lot of patience and determination to be able to do it. Because sometimes you have to take some notes as, like, so slow that it's, like, unrecognizable, like
Okay.
the tune. Like,
Like you have
one
to
at a
slow
time.
it all the way down
so that your muscles know what they do, and then you speed it up slowly and slowly and
until
slowly
you hit right where it needs to be.
until you hit the tempo where it needs to
Yeah.
be. And I personally love that process because you see where you came from,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you can do this thing. Nobody knows how long it took. All they see is
Yeah.
the end product, and you're like,
Yeah.
man, I did that. Like, I learned this piece. It was really hard for me, and I love that process. And it's the same thing with sports,
Yep.
you know, learning how to swing a bat properly or, you know, a golf swing.
Yep.
Nobody knows how long that took you to do it. All they see is you hitting the
Just
ball
the end
over the
performance. Well, and that's what's, you know, interesting, whether it's in business or life. It's the fundamentals. It's the
Yeah.
things we do every single day. Whether it's for yourself or a relationship or business or instruments, whatever, there's these little things every single day that we have to do that aren't fun, right?
Yeah.
Like getting up in the morning. I did a podcast about just making your bed, And as dumb as that sounds, it's literally changed my life because I get up every morning and I do it. Like, it's just done. I accomplished something.
Yeah, you did something.
Yeah, and it's
already.
like, yeah, dude, it took me 30 years to make my own bed, but hey, Mom, I'm trying. Mama tried. But, you know, I don't know if it's just getting older with age, going through more experience, but I'm starting to find joy in just accomplishing the little things every day. And we were talking to a friend earlier. He runs a sales division. They're doing pretty well at a major corporate company. And he was just talking about, you know, what are things you can do every day to be successful. And I think accomplishing something every single day, just one or two just tangible things, because especially in business or in music, it's like you're just going at it and you're trying to master this whole song. Well, if your goal is to master a whole song in one day, that's going to be pretty unrealistic, or you're not going to be, you know, you're not going to feel accomplished. And same thing in business. If you want to make X amount of money or hit, you know, certain numbers in sales, but it's every day, you know, even if it's just, hey, I'm going to practice for 4 hours. Yeah. Or I'm going to, you know, like you said, I'm going to break it down. I'm going to learn this section, these notes. And I think those are really things that we overlook sometimes in this instant gratification society because, you know, we're just wanting to have it right now.
You want to be perfect at it.
Sure.
And
yep.
Nobody is.
Even though you can go on YouTube and learn how to do things, I guess for you, how many hours do you think you've spent on a bass, playing a bass?
I mean,
if you even had to just throw
10,000. I mean,
okay.
You're gonna hear that
the
number.
Gladwell,
like,
yeah.
Probably done that. Like,
okay.
Easily.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You feel like there's any truth to that?
I think there is.
10,000 hours. Okay.
I think there absolutely is.
You didn't just wake up one day and you could play the bass and everything was good.
No.
What have you learned, I guess, through the 10,000 hours? I know you talked a little bit about, you know, just being able to enjoy the process a little bit more. Any other lessons that have stuck out to you through music?
I think that's the main one. I think also just I've been really fortunate to be able to find something that I love to do, and to be able to have it provide for me.
Sure.
Which I think is super important.
Yeah.
And that's what we try and tell people wherever we go. Like, no matter what you do, like, just love what you do.
Yeah.
You know, I heard from somebody, you have all these quotes in your head and you know who they're from, and I love that. I can't remember who this one was from. But he said, people shouldn't have hobbies.
Okay.
Your hobbies should be your job.
Yeah.
Because why would you go to a job and then spend more time to do something that you actually like to do? Why don't you just make that your job? And so that's what he said, and I've taken that to heart, like, quite literally.
Well, and you have, and that's one thing that, you know, very few people that I know can really say they're living their dream. And so I guess for you, what message would you give somebody? So somebody's watching this and they're like, well, yeah, mine's like playing, I don't know, Fortnite or something. I don't know what the kids play these days. How do I turn that into a career? Any advice you'd give somebody that, you know, they have this hobby and they're trying to, like, turn it into something that's more of a career?
I mean, I would say just, you know, try and think outside the box with whatever that is. And, you know, even if somebody is doing what you want to do, doesn't mean you can't do it.
Yeah.
You know, there's room in this world for all that. Sorry.
That's right. We'll cut that out, Audrey.
But yeah, if you want to do something that you love, I would say try and do that as much as you can. Yeah. Do the research involved to try and make that into a career. Yeah. You know, whatever it is.
Well, and the thing about most jobs, you know, 40 hours a week, you know, that's only 8 hours a day. That's 1/3 of all your time. And something Gary Vee says, he's really big in self-development, but he talks about, like, what are you doing from 7 p.m. to 2 a.m., basically. You know, 2 a.m. to 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. you can sleep 5 hours. What are you doing in that window? Especially with online technology, I'm starting to learn these things called ClickFunnels, and there's certain things that you can do to help better your life and to be able to transition. And that's something that, you know, even with this podcast, sure, this is what I want to do long term all time, but I have to have something that's going to pay the bills, something that is going to be able to do that. And they work together, they kind of correlate. But yeah, the opportunities are out there, and that's the beautiful thing about this society is there's literally people making money any and every single way possible. You can monetize it, and what's cool about what you guys are doing is it's something that's, you know, I don't know, probably not everybody's dream to be in an orchestra, but even to take it beyond that to something that's a whole new level where there's only, you know, probably a handful of people in the entire world that are kind of doing, you know, what you're doing in that arena. So I guess for you, what's Simply Three's message to
Simply Three's message?
Yeah.
We have a lot of messages.
Do you? Any that are coming to mind?
We do. We have a hashtag.
Okay.
Hashtag strings to the front.
Strings to the front. Okay.
Strings to the front because we feel
Is that
like
orchestra talk.
Yeah, kind
Okay.
of. You know, kind of. You know, orchestra and like orchestra instruments are kind of usually featured in the back of the stage, like behind a band.
Okay.
So we think, you know, why don't you bring the strings to the front?
Yeah.
We can headline our own stuff. We can play our own music that's catchy. And
Yeah.
So bring it to the front of the stage. So that's one of the messages.
Hashtag strings to the front.
Hashtag strings
All
to
right,
the front.
right there, people. Hashtag strings to the front. And what I guess for you guys with Simply Three, what do you guys have coming up? What do you guys got going on here, just to kind of help plug that and what you guys are doing?
We're doing a lot more music videos on our YouTube. Simply Three Official.
Okay.
Put it up there.
Right there.
And we're doing a lot more music videos, and we're gonna be around the country doing some concerts. We're gonna be in Ohio in 2 weeks, and we'll be in Eugene, Oregon, your favorite place.
Yeah, go Ducks.
Go
right?
Ducks.
I mean, Arizona's probably my favorite place, but that's close.
Okay.
And then you guys got something coming up in Phoenix too?
We won't be playing in Phoenix probably till next year. We
Next
just
year.
did something in March at the
Dang, I
Mesa Arts
missed it.
Center. I know.
I know. I didn't get VIP.
We'll
passes
get you
maybe
VIP next time.
Yeah. Excuse me, I'm with the band. So, security right over here. Yeah, and you know, once again, appreciate having you on, man. Taking the time. Simply Three, you guys are killing it, and you know that's really, I think Nick is a testament to what is really possible, because in life we have these dreams and we have these people that maybe, you know, hey, get a real job, and something that he does is super unorthodox. I mean, it's not, you're probably the only person, no offense, that I've met that's like, hey, I want to be in an orchestra, but then have taken it to a whole nother level,
Right.
And not just tried to settle for status quo, right? Or try to, oh, let me just do this on the side. You took a risk, you took a gamble, and now it's obviously paying off, because not only, you know, financially, but freedom. And, you know, that's really the key about being legendary and have a legendary life, is it's not just about money that you make and whatever that you're doing, but it's trying to chase that freedom that you can do whatever you want. So
Absolutely.
once again, this is my man. Check him out, Simply Three, Nick Villalobos. He's in the B-Legendary studio getting pH fat. Appreciate having you on, brother.
Thanks,
Till
man.
next time.
Yeah.
Remember, you can be average, you can be basic, or you can be
Legendary.